welcome to our second episode of Before the Game, brought to you by the crew from Duoqueue. I'm Alicifer, and joining me once again is my partner in crime, Starjun.
Oh, thanks, Ali. Hi, guys. We're second week back. Unfortunately, there's no games in the OPL tonight, but we're lucky enough to be joined by Swip3rR and Raydere from the Chiefs Esports Club. Thanks for joining us tonight, and how are you both going?
Yeah, we're going pretty well. Feeling pretty happy, I think, with our play overall. Not keen because we didn't get to play this week, but practicing hard still.
Raydere?
Yeah, I'm also feeling pretty good. We're 10-0 currently, which is a perfect result, and I think we're going to try and end the split with a 14-0 result, and and that'll be good.
That would definitely be excellent. So just before we continue on with our podcast, could I get you guys to give us a little bit of an introduction as to who you are, what team you play for, and what roles you are? Now we'll start off with Raydere.
I play for the Chiefs, obviously, as shown by the shirt, and I play ADC for the Chiefs. Currently, I think I'm the oldest member of the team, both age-wise and member of the team-wise. I've been playing, I think, since 2011, where it started off as Frey, and then went to Team Immunity, and then we became the Chiefs. So I've been there since the start.
The daddy doke.
Yeah, basically the end.
But yeah, I am on the same team. Obviously, I play top. Love the Trinity. Want to bring it out one day again. But have been playing since about 2012. Played multiple roles, I guess, but
You settle on top.
yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Alright, well, guys, also, if you have any questions for our guests, you in Twitch chat, don't forget to post them. We will be asking them the best questions at the end of the podcast. Also, we do have a $10 giveaway for that one person that asked the best question. So make sure you're creative and not vulgar, please. Alright, guys, let's kick it off. So, you obviously haven't done too bad in OPL. You are currently 11-0, is that correct? Or is it 12? Sorry.
10-0, I think.
10-0. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. Why I'm saying this is because you have mentioned the 14-0, and Frank has promised that he would let you play Tryndamere if you get 14-0. How likely is this going to be, boys?
Well, my biggest flaw is that I don't have an MVP yet. So I'm the only one on the team here who doesn't have an MVP yet, and I get a lot of crap for it. So I feel like it's only possible on Tryndamere, so let's hope that we'll bring it out, and
The MVP
you may well
awards,
see it.
the MVP awards seem quite rare for the top laners currently, so I guess you'll have to pull out something really crazy to be able to win MVP in the OPL.
But the thing is that it makes it even worse is that like nearly all the other top 4 top laners have got an MVP so far, so I'm the only one who hasn't.
That's great. What about you, Raydere? You've managed to pick up MVP a couple of times already, haven't you?
I picked up 2.
Yeah.
One for Kalista and one for Cog. I think for my Cogmore one, I think Swif3rR was a little salty about that. Because he did make a lot of plays that game, and I somehow got MVP. But I think he can deal with it.
But so you guys are obviously 10-0. Honestly, did you guys expect to be able to start this well to the season when you were going into the new OPL?
You got Derek.
I think we did, actually. We were practicing really hard, and I think because we've been practicing so hard, and we do kind of expect, since we do have a good history with online tournaments specifically, we would expect to have a pretty reasonable start to the season. I think especially after the first week, after beating Legacy, we probably would, we started off the season on a really good high, and I think we've carried that momentum on pretty well, so...
On that kind of note then, do you think that the current format of the OPL really suits your team?
I think that the play pool really suits us because we're quite known as a really strong online team. But the downside to it is that the big matches are still to come. It's going to be the finals, and we're known to choke a little bit at them. But I feel like we're like a lot more ready this year for it.
I just have to quickly ask, just while we're touching on this, who do you think your biggest competitors are for the grand final? Just touch on that one first.
I think statistically, Direwolves would be our biggest competitor. Because of how the tournament format is going to work at the end of the split, we're probably going to be versing the fourth team, which is a little ambiguous right now, but I think second and third place seem to be going to Direwolves and Legacy. So they'll be playing off each other. I think they'll be playing against each other in the semis, and we'll be playing against the team who comes fourth. So, and I think out of Direwolves and Legacy, given just statistically and the past matches in the OPL, I think Direwolves do have an edge against them, let's just say. And so I think most likely we will end up playing against Direwolves in the finals.
So who would you guys, and not looking at statistics, but in the overall OPL, who would be the team that you guys are most worried about versing? Not so much scared, but the team that could overthrow you guys. Would it be Legacy, or do you think Direwolves might have it, or is there somebody else that could, take that spot for the first defeat?
I definitely think it'd be Legacy, just because our history, we're known, they're the team that's really always beaten us when everyone thought it's not been possible. Winter, where we were by far the favourites, and they just pulled out the best of 5 and beat us. So myself personally, and I think I can speak for most of the team, we are afraid of versing Legacy still, even though we feel like we're the better team right now. But even just coming up against them, it's sort of in the back of the head, you're we can still lose this, so
yeah.
I'd much prefer to verse Direwolves, even if they're statistically the better team.
I think that makes sense. But obviously, there's 2 weeks left in the OPL. Your last matchups are against Sunfear, Fornot, Rich Gang, and Avantgarde. So obviously some of the lower teams. How does it feel going into your last 2 weeks? Are you guys trying to really prepare to get that 14-0, or are you trying to look forward to the finals to make sure you're in the best shape that when it comes around that you'll be the team representing us at Wildcards?
I think those two kind of come hand in hand, where I think playing against the bottom 4 teams of the ladder towards our last 2 weeks, we will probably when we're playing against a more kind of top tier team such as on the ladder, such as Direwolves or Legacy, we would probably be playing more. We'd be adjusting our playstyle towards them more, and strengthening our play, planning out how to specifically play against those teams. But I think as we near towards the end of the split and playing against more of the bottom tier teams, we will be kind of focusing more on ourselves as opposed to our opponents. So instead of saying, okay, what specific strategy are going to pull out against each individual team, we'll be thinking, okay, what are we going to do to strengthen our team as a whole against everybody in OCE?
I have a question about strategies for team picking. Now, I just want to reference your game last against Legacy, how you picked a Kog'Maw. Now, you had picked this Kog'Maw after a Rumble and a Sejuani had both been picked up. Had you guys already planned beforehand that you guys were going to go with that? Or did you see them and go, alright, well, our team comp has that heavy frontline with Swip3rR playing on Sion, and you do have the peel already set up with Nami. Had you guys already considered that they would, Carbon would maybe bring out the Sejuani, or were you just you know what, screw it, we're just going to play Kog'Maw, tear the tanks, and just rely on heavy peel?
I think with the Kog'Maw pick, it wasn't planned specifically. But we during that past week of scrims, we have been playing Nami quite a bit, and so it was it was something that we had prepared, not for Legacy specifically, just to to develop as a team. So we have kind of more more weapons in our arsenal. And I think against that team specifically, Kog'Maw didn't really need that much peel because, as you saw, Swip3rR was just kind of tanking all his Sejuani ultis.
Yes.
And they didn't really have any specific single target damage threat. They were all just wombo combo. And I think with Kog'Maw's range, you can actually Sejuani's ulti is actually one of the easier combos to stay up against. So it's not like you're playing against some sort of wide Rumble comp. With Sejuani, you can just stand specifically away from your team or in certain areas and not get hit. So.
And now with your ADs, you pick up you seem to be really favoring that Jinx pick, which is really interesting because considering how strong Graves and Sivir and all that are at the moment, why are you focusing more on a less mobile champion pickup than these other ones that are really, really strong at the moment?
Classically, we pick Jinx I think usually because especially if we're playing against Sivir, Jinx usually does pretty well against Sivir in lane, and especially since our team comp, we kind of usually I think we ran at one point Maokai and Orianna as a top end mid laner, and having a Jinx with that comp specifically works really, really well, kind of in tangent. So having a hyper carry with a nice front line and shields, it kind of works together. So which is why you probably just play that hyper carry rather than over like a Jinx over than like a Graves or Corki.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think Jinx is definitely one of those champions that's kind of in the zone where they could get pushed into one of a serious meta pick with a few little changes.
Mm-hmm.
But on that kind of note, what is your opinions on Kalista then? Because she's been getting played a lot.
I think Kalista, she is really strong. Like kind of her kit is really strong. Her laning is really strong. Her ultimate is actually ridiculously strong as well. I remember when she first came out, I always thought to myself, okay, this champion's ultimate has so much potential to it, and like especially like if you combine it with like a Thresh, let's just say it's like if you gank the lane and aim the Thresh, Kalista's gonna ulti the Thresh out. If you gank the Kalista, she's just gonna get Lantern out. So it's like one of those champions where like if you couple it with so it's like one of those champions where having an ultimate coupled with a specific support can actually like create really, really, really strong results. And I think with her mobility, I think in a lot of circumstances she's actually really, really strong. But her weakness is that her single target isn't as strong as, let's just say, Graves. And so if you are playing against like a single tanky frontline, like if they have a Scion, and you have to spend your whole time hitting the Scion, you're not going to be doing as much as, let's just say, if they have two frontliners that are semi-tank. So if they have like a Hecarim Jarvan, then Kalista is really strong against those picks because you can just jump around them and AoE them down with your Renstacks and Renan's Hurricane.
Yeah. But on that note then as well, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that a lot of people will associate with Chiefs is that often, or not necessarily often, but at times you definitely do lose your early game, but then are still often seem really comfortable at bringing it back in the mid game and turning those games around that any other team in that situation would probably lose. Can you offer us any insight into what you think makes your team such a good team at coming back from games that might be lost to other teams?
I think it's actually funny that you bring that up because we used to be really good at early games and then we'd always lose late games. But I think now that teams have sort of gotten a little bit better, we've had the opportunity to play more than when we're behind than like when we're ahead, because before, like last year especially, we went through a phase where we sort of just beat a lot of teams like really early in the game and they just like give up. But now that they've gotten better, they're like been up a fight and even like beating us early game all the time. So we get the opportunity to play behind, and I think like especially with our shot callers, they're really good at like calling stuff when we're behind and like what to do. So I think that gives us an advantage because they got like more knowledge than I'd say than other teams, just like our shot callers. Yeah.
Well, you certainly showed that was relevant in a game against Direwolves where we had Perfection Morgana top, and you guys pretty much level 2'd, dove him under tower and destroyed him, and then, pretty much took the tower, rotated, and just like completely destroyed the early game. Your aggression from everyone was just so insane that it was just overpowered Direwolves into submission. Like, they just couldn't do anything. That really showed the strength of the Chiefs and with your early game. And you guys have been so aggressive early game for many of the games that I've been watching.
Yeah,
and you've been able to close off, so that's all from shot calling?
A lot of it is shot calling, but I feel like since we've been together as a team for like 2 years now, like as 5 players, so we're sort of like on the same page a lot of the time now, where like other teams like roster swap and they don't really have like consistent members, so they don't like all gel together really well. But I think we're at the point where we're nearly as gelled as we can be, and we capitalize on plays really well, and that's probably one of our main strengths, I think.
Well, you guys are certainly capitalizing on that really nicely. And as we can see as a result, you guys were undefeated. Now, let's just talk about one of the most unknown... Oh, okay. So the difference between you guys being top-level pros and just a team kind of starting out, your warding in pretty much all the games that we watch is just so spot on. Like, knowing when to ward, how to aggressively ward and everything like that. You've got sight stones now being built on junglers. Is this something that is more newer to you guys, that you've just started focusing more heavily on, or is that something that you've been doing for a while but it's more becoming like you must do it sort of thing, that teams are getting better and better and you need to focus on the enemy jungler more?
A lot of our play is actually focused around ward control. I think back when we always won early game and didn't win late game was partly due to vision control and rotation. So, you know, as such, we've obviously kind of like identified this problem, patched up, and we went through a phase where everyone would be like, okay, everyone in the team has to have a pink ward on the map at every single point in the game. And it actually took me a while to adjust to buying wards, because as an AD carry, I never really liked buying wards. I just like buying items. But my team was like, okay, you know, Derek, Raydere, you have to go buy wards, buy pink wards. We can't be doing one warding. You know, sacrifice the money for the team. Vision control is good for the team. And you know, and I think, you know, we've been doing that for a while now, and like since we kind of covered all the fundamentals of warding really well, we kind of start moving on to such as more aggressive warding. So getting wards deep into the jungle, getting a line of pinks across the map, denying enemy vision, and you know, all those fundamental concepts that we've kind of integrated into our play really well. So, and as you can kind of see in the games, our warding has been very spot on, to say.
Yes,
Well,
definitely. Sorry.
I just wanted to touch on, at this rate, we can probably assume that unless anything changes, that you will most probably be the team representing us at Wildcards in Turkey, in Istanbul. But I just wanted to talk about how will you guys plan to prepare for Wildcards in an international tournament like that? And last time when you did play the international Wildcards, how did you prepare for that?
For us to prepare, I feel like we will boot camp somewhere, assuming we do win. But we will probably get a boot camp in. We probably need to all touch up on our champ pools a bit more. Me especially. We need to perfect a lot more styles, not just have the same style, because like going from Australia to a big scene is like a big difference, and people will capitalize on stuff a lot more. So that's a big thing. The last time we prepared, we went to Germany, I think about 6 days earlier, and we boot camped and versed some of the European teams, which was fun. I think Legacy did the same when they went. And yeah, we just by going over and playing like for 4 days, it feels like you get like 5 times the practice you get in like a month playing in OCE, because you just verse players who are like a lot better than you, and you just learn a lot from it. So it like, regardless how you go overseas, it's always like a really big experience, and it's really worth it, I feel.
Yeah. On that kind of note then, if you could boot camp anywhere, where would you guys want to boot camp?
I'd say maybe... Oh, that's a tough one. So obviously like the highest skill level would be China or Korea, but I think I actually would think that maybe like, okay, just going boot camping there, learning from the top teams how they play would be really, really cool. I think strategy-wise, but I personally would just like to boot camp in North America just to like play with the North American teams.
Yeah, that
would be really cool. But yeah, I think strategically, from a pure game improving standpoint, I think probably Korea or China.
Do you feel like China would kind of match OCE's playstyle with their over-aggression?
Yeah, I think we're sort of like a worse version of China. So like they're very like sloppy, and they have a lot of team fights, but all their team fights are really like strategy. There's a lot of strategy behind it. Like there's actually meaning with like OCE teams. We just like, we see 5 people, let's just run at them. Like even like
see hero, kill.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the consequences, just go for it, you know. But like China is like a much better version of us. But yeah, I'd probably resemble to them the most out of most regions.
Yeah, most definitely. I think we've been called the young version of China quite a few times. Now, just talking about wildcards, are there any teams that you expect to see there, and is there any team that you're kind of worried about seeing there in particular?
We haven't actually done any research on any particular teams. I think since Legacy went to wildcards last year, they would probably have a better insight than us if they were in this podcast rather than us. But we went to wildcards in 2013, and the teams we played against, I think only one of them were in the 2014 wildcards. I think it was Dark Passage. I'm not sure about the other ones, but judging from previous encounters, I don't think we would be too particularly worried about any particular team. I think that if we do practice really hard and play well, we can actually win. So
yeah, I feel like we're just more focused on our strengths more than like go into like we'd obviously research all the other teams when we know them, but I think the big thing to do is just to normally focus on your strengths more than like thinking of other teams, and that's a big mistake we've made in the past. But yeah, I think we have a good chance of taking Turkey if we qualify.
That would be really great for Australia to do that. Oh, I'm sorry, so for OCE to do that. Since Dark Passage last year.
So that actually leads into it. How much, after this OPL split, you guys have obviously had to play a significant more amount of competitive games. How much more fit do you think you'll be this year going to the international wildcards than you were the last time that you went?
I think we'll be better this year. Actually, we will be. We were playing, I think, reasonably well back in the 2013 wildcards, and I think we have improved a lot since then as a team. But we always have to look at this like relatively because other teams will have improved as well. But I think what's important is that as a team we've actually I think the most important thing is to just kind of, even for like top tier professional teams, is to get down all the basic fundamentals of your gameplay right. This sounds really kind of cliche, but I think even for any top team, just like it's so important to like get all the fundamentals and basics correct before you move on to advanced strategies. Because I think until like even in North America, I think even until you get to Korea or China, where you do actually have to start worrying about advanced concepts, I think just if you master all your basics, master rotations, master early game, master drafting, then you'll just be a really strong team in general. And I think we will be able to master all fundamental aspects of gameplay, basic gameplay in time for wildcards. So I think this year would have a really good shot.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
You can definitely see where we went wrong last year, and if we do verse the same teams again, hopefully they haven't changed their style too much and you can adapt to that and watch the VODs again. How do you guys find it doing research on other teams? Is it easy for you guys, or is it maybe because they're from an overseas server, is it a little bit harder to find VODs and do research?
The thing is that the gap between the time they played the final and the wildcard is actually like really big. So their champion pools are going to be a lot different. Their play styles are going to be a lot different. They're not going to be playing the same stuff. So it's really hard to like draft against a team who you have like one best of 5 to look at. Like if we were to verse Legacy in the finals, like whenever we would know what they're going to play. We could like draft for that. But with someone who you've never played before and you have so little research, it's really difficult to draft for. You can sort of see their most played champions and just base it off that. And other than that, you just focus on your strengths more than anything.
Mm-hmm. Alright guys, well we have had some community questions come through. I just want to get those quickly out of the way. We've got some really good ones. Starjun, do you want to open up our community questions?
Yeah, sure. The first question is from Haha Great O's Game, and it's to Raydere, and it's how's the solo queue going? 2 accounts in top 5. Destiny been annoying for ya?
Solo queue is going good. Obviously, if I have 2 accounts in the top 5. Destiny has, I guess, he has been somewhat annoying because I do have to play a game to get rank 1 back every time he beats me, which is a little tedious. I think there's actually 2 people contesting me, so it's not just Destiny. It's I think Vengeance has also been contesting me, but yeah, I think they haven't played. I'm sitting on my rank 1. I think I've got like a 30 point 30-point lead, so I'm just sitting comfortably waiting for them to make that move.
Nice. I think, Ali, you're probably best suited to ask the next question from Rusty Ballbags.
Yes, from dear old Rusty, we have how do I stop myself from being ruinous? Swipers aesthetics. I don't think I can answer that one.
I don't know how I can answer that one.
Yeah. That's just an unstoppable force. But our next question is from Jewel SMG. You guys have never got to play AV in the final last year. Raydere, do you think you're a better AD carry than Veritas?
Yes.
Do you care to elaborate at all? Or?
Let it be known that Veritas got to rank 1 on NA.
Yep, he's
very
been
quickly.
there twice now, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, very quickly. He was ahead by 200 points, and on that note, he couldn't beat me in solo queue on OC, and I was ahead of him by 400 points, at least at all points of this season. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, if that doesn't clarify it.
You weren't there.
Yeah.
Solo queue is a reflection on how good you are as a player.
I'll ask the next question as well then. From Veka123, what do you think is the most mechanically hard champion in each of your roles to play and master? You can go first, Swiper.
Mechanically, I'd probably, like, if we're talking off meta as well, I'd probably say Riven. Aurelia was quite hard to get good at, just because knowing her limits and stuff. But if we're not talking mechanically, I would definitely say Rumble is probably the hardest champion to play top lane, because his ulti is so make or break, like you either win the game or you lose the game off it. So I don't like that on top of my shoulders. So yeah. Personally, that's the champion I hate playing the most.
Raydere?
I'd say Vayne for ADC.
That's pretty reasonable. I think both those answers are pretty common. Is there any champions that you think that are quite difficult to play that is unexpected? Because Rumble was obviously, he's got a very unique style, and Vayne has always been that late game carry, so it's always been tough to master those champions. Is there anything else that you find is really difficult to play that people aren't really so exposed to?
Yorick. No, I honestly don't know. I'm the type of top laner that plays what's strong, and I don't play I don't like look at other stuff other than what's strong. Other than the exception of Trinity, he's sort of like the only champion I branch my meta-ness out of.
I think Kalista is actually she's hard to play. Okay, I think Kalista is easy to pick up and play on a fundamental level, but if you to really play her to perfection, it's incredibly difficult, because you have to make you're jumping and attacking so much that you really do have to make like the most use out of every single jump. So you can't afford to jump in the wrong direction even once, and if you do, you can actually die. I think in one of our games, long drawn out games, I think Kalista accidentally jumped to our team and ended up dying and costing them the game. So yeah, so it's one of those champions where it's like I think it's easy to play on a basic level, but really hard to play to perfection.
That's a good call. Alright, we have a question from Flying Jew. Does Raydere own any other clothes besides the Chiefs jersey? Now, I'm just going to quickly jump in here with a story for you. Before we jumped on stream, my friend, he was actually wearing a pretty nice little tank top. So yes, he does.
I'm super glad that you just sold him out, Ali.
Yes, what she said. I do own more clothes besides the Chiefs jersey, but I think wearing a Chiefs jersey makes me look very nice and slim. So you should all buy Chiefs jerseys.
Oh, maybe if I can get a personalized one, I'll consider it.
Alright guys, our last question from Scumbag Ray. What do you guys think about Lulu mid, specifically paired with something like a Janna bot lane? Do you think the weaker laning phase is worth it for the team fights?
Yes. I love Lulu mid. Lulu mid is the most amazing mid laner in the world. Anything that provides support or peel for me is the most amazing thing in the world. So yes. Yes.
Awesome. Alright. Maybe the top lane there, Swiper. What do you think about Lulu top lane?
I think having Lulu as a flex pick is sort of a must in this meta now, so I do need to pick it up. I'm trying, but I've always had issues with like the AP top laners, like the Rumble and the Lulus and stuff. So yeah, I think she's quite a strong top.
Excellent. Well, it has been decided, guys. The winner of our $10 RP card goes to Dual SMG for his question of, you never got to play against AV in the split. Raydere, do you think you're better than Veritas? So, congratulations to Dual SMG. Make sure you send a message to the Gamers Life Network on Twitch, and we'll send you that code for the RP. Now, just lastly, before we wrap things up, guys, do you have any shoutouts you would like to make?
Shout out to the Chiefs, obviously, to Logitech, our main sponsor, and I think also we have a website up, so...
Yeah, that just went live a couple of days ago.
Yeah, so, hang on, I think I'll just post it in Twitch chat.
Yeah, we'll be looking to make probably a lot of guides.
Yeah, I posted in Twitch chat, so everyone...
Streams are all on there as well.
Sweet.
And everyone come and look at our website.
Any other shoutouts?
Managers for us well and not let us talk all the time. So,
Well, he's cutting in and
I think
out
you're cutting
of
out,
it
Brandon.
there.
That's alright, I think we got the gist of it.
Do you just want to take over a bit there, Derek? Just let us know who those managers and everything were.
So shout out to our managers, so I'd say Scream, Sigils, Sangi, and yeah, that's all.
Beautiful. Alright, guys. Well, thank you everyone for watching our episode of Before the Game. We will be here next week, same time, 5:30 till 6, every Thursday. We will be joined by the lovely boys from Legacy, so looking forward to that one. Now, you can find our beautiful guests on their Twitters. You can see their handles on the stream. You can also follow myself and Starjun on Twitter as well. This has been Before the Game, guys. We'll see you next time. This time next week, sorry. Bye!
Thanks a lot, everyone.